All right. Welcome to the new thing, Quick Sixers game night featuring your boy Connor Bailey. If this is the first one, but if you like this, and go and check out the rest of Quick Sixers stuff, subscribe to all the things. But we're gonna jump right into this. It's gonna be pretty fun, I think. So me and Connor are gonna run everyone through some things in our gaming life, fucking nerd shit, you know. But I think I don't know how to really start it out, Connor. How would you like? Do you want to talk about like where we first started gaming, or how video games came into the world or our lives or whatever?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, you started out.
So what's the question? The question is, when did I start playing video games, or how did I get into that?
Yeah, like when did you start playing games? Like, well, when was I don't know, what was your first thing that you liked?
Yeah, so I think the way that when I was growing up as a kid, in the like mid '90s, we had an NES. I think the reason we got that was because grandparents had gotten it for my dad as like a gift. Like they must have gotten it like, I don't know, in the end of the '80s, early '90s, and thought like he would have fun screwing around with that. Which I think like he probably never once played it. Like I don't ever remember. I was too young probably. So like he might have played it for a little bit, but quickly would have fallen off that. And so then, that was just like our house. And we didn't have a ton of games for it, but I remember that we had like the original Mario on NES. And then we had gotten some hand-me-down type games from some cousins of mine, and they were mostly bad NES games.
Yeah,
mostly bad ones. So, and like that's kind of what we had for a while. But I remember playing that, and then like there were times as a kid growing up where we would get new NES cards, but it wouldn't be like too frequent because I remember game prices back then being like absurd.
Dude. It's funny. It's funny you bring that up. It's because like people think nowadays, like, oh man, games are so expensive. Like, motherfucker, there were 64 games that were like $100. Like straight up.
Like I remember going to Toys R Us as a little kid. I think for a Mega Man game. There was a Mega Man game specifically. And I don't know. It was like one of those deals where you would walk into Toys R Us, and if they didn't have it, maybe this just was the set back then. Like you had to get a slip of paper and like take it to the back.
Yeah.
And then they would exchange that out for the physical game. I remember, I don't know, maybe I paid for that. I mean, it must have been like with some money that I had saved up. But then looking at the other games and thinking like, wow, these games are $100, and it's pretty wild for a game that's like, looking back on it, probably not good.
I don't know. All those early Mega Mans are pretty good.
Oh, no. Yeah, Mega Man was fun. But I mean, like, there was a lot of NES games where it was like,
just god awful, or just like so hard. Like the hardest game ever.
Insane. Like playing on the Switch now, like playing through like their NES and Super Nintendo like backlog stuff that they have on there. It just is a nice refresher to know like
like
the current games and not old games.
Like shit was hard as hell back in the day. That's cool. It's kind of funny. So I'm rocking this NES shirt right now, but that's so weird that you say your dad got it as a present. So that's literally exactly what happened with my parents. My aunt and uncle, I was a kid, obviously, when the NES came out. And I don't think I was born yet. It came out in 85. So yeah.
Yeah, I think kind of by the time, when we had it, I think probably the Super Nintendo was out. But I mean, this is like pre-internet and stuff like that. It's like I didn't even know that, I don't think.
Yeah.
I was like too young to be in some sort of circle where we were discussing video games or anything. So like I didn't know about like news related to video games. It would probably just be stuff that I saw at, Target or Walmart or whatever.
Yeah.
If I didn't see it there, then I didn't know it was a thing. So.
Yeah. And I mean, when you're a kid, you're not going to those stores all the time, for
you're going
shit.
Like pretty much never.
Yeah. So you never know what's actually happening. Yeah, but I think I'm not positive about this, but I'm pretty sure this is the chain of events that led to this. Man, I noticed. I feel like I have this allergy like in this one nostril. It's fucking me up. God damn it. Anyway, might have to bust out my monogrammed hanky.
Oh wow, so
Yeah,
fancy.
I know. Has an A on my last
And
name
you
in the
have it
middle.
on your person right now.
Oh yeah, always. That and
Always.
chapstick, always. Yeah, got to. Actually, we found these randomly, like a monogram hankies at a bargain hunt. They were all like with A's, P's, and M's, like a big stack of them. So me and Meg were like, "Oh, we're
Perfect.
getting these. Yeah, like why in the fuck not? Why would I get these? Come in handy." So, yeah, Hanky Cast. That's this show. No. So,
What's the material on that handkerchief?
this is probably some cottonish
Like,
material.
how often do you wash it?
Oh, all the time. I use it once, and if it gets used, like if I sneeze into it, it's getting thrown in the hamper. That's it. I have a stack of them though. Like a
Oh, okay. I
like
was wondering, like how, when are you, what's the turnaround time on?
oh, turnaround time's quick. This is a one
Okay.
use. If it gets used, but if I say I don't use it today and I use it, like I'll keep it in my pocket for tomorrow.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
But like the second it gets used, it's like, all right, well, it's dead at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think you're in the sweet spot there. I think you're in the
Yeah,
right.
I'm in
Yeah.
the right frame of mind. I'm not some like old man that has like a fucking dripping
Yeah,
nastiness.
crusty one. You don't want that.
It's got stains and whatnot. You're not sure if it's piss or snot, whatever. Anyway, yeah, I think I was a kid, obviously, but my dad, I remember this pretty specifically. My dad got an NES from one of my aunts, like his sister, and it was, I don't know if he got it this like in addition to, but one of the first games I ever remember playing was that gold cartridge Zelda, like the first Legend of Zelda. And I was like, man, this shit is dope. Like, how do you get a gold game? Like, I thought it was so sick. Like, oh, it's a gold game. It's really cool. Whatever. And besides that, like first gaming, I don't think he ever touched it. He maybe touched it once or twice, but like I remember playing like random games with him a little bit every now and then. But yeah, the next thing that happened, I feel like when I feel like I remember games, like my first memory of playing video games is like going to my cousin's house in, I think they live in Chicago, maybe. They had an NES, and but they had like the light gun for Duck Hunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is the coolest shit ever. Like this, like you can like shoot a duck with a gun. And I thought that was the coolest shit ever. So I never got the light gun, like ever. I don't think when I was a kid. But I also had a couple cousins that were like into video games at the time. They were way older. So whenever we went to like family gatherings or whatever at anybody's house, I would be like, I'm gonna go with the cousins that are playing like this shit. And it would always be like random, whatever, like Street Fighter or like Mortal Kombat at the time because they were older. But and eventually it my NES broke. But we had like the games that I remember having are a couple of my favorite. I have Meg got these for me for a present, but I have these NES cartridge coasters. And this one, Super Mario 2, is one of my favorite games ever. And I'm so happy about the Switch like class or like back catalog thing because like now I've beaten it now, but I don't think without save states I would have never probably beat that game.
Right.
But that the first three Mario, so 1, 2, 3, Mario 2. I don't know if you know about this, but it's like basically a skinned copy of a different game.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. And then the lost levels are the actual Mario 2, like that hard ass one. Um, but yeah, I had that, and then NES eventually broke, and I don't think we ever got a new one. But my parents bought me a Sega, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, Sega is dope." So I had this Sega. And I remember moving. I think we moved It wasn't until so we moved to Ohio for a year when I was a kid. I don't remember much of gaming there except for my NES was still alive there. So maybe it didn't break. Maybe they just left it, which I'd be pissed off if that's the case. I don't know what happened to it, honestly. I was thinking about this before we when we talked about making the show. I was like, what happened to my NES as a kid? No idea. So yeah, we moved to Memphis like a year later. My mom hated Ohio. So we moved there and I remember having a Sega there. And first game I ever beat, like finished as a child, was Sonic 2. And not that that's a great game. It's just like that's the one I remember beating. So it was like, I don't know. I remember like feeling like at that point, like, oh, I actually do like video games. This is awesome. But I don't know. I think I had a few Segas. I think I had one or two Segas. Because one broke, and I feel like I had so much shit for it that my parents were like, "Oh, well, this is gonna go to use if we don't buy a new one." But I don't even think it was like a new one. I think it was like we found one, or someone gave us one.
Yeah.
I don't know. After NES though, do you remember anything after that? Like what? Where?
Well, I mean, like probably so. I mean, I think probably my two like strong memories of all time of video games would come after NES. Like I remember, I don't think I'll ever forget this being in Target, probably around the holidays or whatever, and seeing Mario 64 for the first time. Like I don't know if they still do this at stores like Target and Best Buy and stuff, but you know, like you used to be able to play it in the store there. They'd have that one set up. I just remember seeing it being like, oh my God, like look at this. It's mind blowing, you know, he's 3D and stuff. So I remember that. And then so we went, you know, I never had a Super Nintendo or anything like that. We went from the NES. And then I think I received, or me and my sister received a 64 at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I remember like one Christmas, my grandparents had gotten me Zelda Ocarina of Time. And so like that night I went home and like plugged that in and played probably like the first, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, like where you're still stuck in the little tree town or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, oh wow, this is crazy. Like unbelievable. So those are like, and then kind of after 64, you know, everything just kind of feels like modern video games to me. So it just kind of starts to feel like, was it GameCube? Was it PlayStation 4? Who cares? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Being an adult gaming is way different because like you can kind of just buy what you want, you know? So yeah. I agree. There was a couple moments. So I have a similar 64 moment. 64, I think, is my favorite console ever, by the way. Meg just got me a EverDrive 64 for Christmas. Which do you know what this thing is?
No.
So it's a cart that has an SD slot in the top to where you can download ROMs and like game like new games people are building for 64 and like just load it in and play it on a 64. So that thing, so currently I'm like playing like weird shit that never came out here or is like, you know, there's an Animal Crossing for 64 that never came out in the US.
I did not. I figured GameCube would have probably been the first.
It's so there's that. I'm not playing that, but there's like all sorts of weird shit. Like people are making like new Banjo-Kazooie games. There's a 64 like I don't know, remix type deal for Mario 64 where you can play as different characters and shit. Like it's crazy. And cool. Yeah, it's cool as shit. There's a GoldenEye like remix where you can play as Mario characters. I think I haven't played it yet, but there's weird shit you can do with it. It's really cool. But anyways, I had that same 64 kind of memory with Mario 64. I didn't know it was out. I didn't know it. Of course, like I don't think kids today are gonna realize like legit, like you did not know about this kind of shit.
No.
Unless you were like reading like gaming magazines.
Yeah, if you saw that was like an occasional source of information. too.
Yeah. But like there was no, oh, let's hop on IGN app and like see the new trailer for whatever. It's not like that. Like you had to like it was word of mouth or like you saw it in like a magazine rack at a grocery store.
Like I don't even remember that stuff being in like toy commercials from cartoons. You know, like you would see
Yeah.
or like action figure commercials or board game commercials stuff. But like I don't even think video games really were in that arena.
No,
That's
I don't think
the way I
here.
remember it.
Yeah. I think there's commercials, but I don't think there was in the US. Like I don't remember any at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the way I found out about 64 was somebody told me like there was a new Nintendo. And I was like, "Oh, sick." Like cuz my buddy 2 houses down had a Super Nintendo. And I was like, "All right, cool. Gonna have to throw that one in the hamper now."
That one's getting washed.
Yeah. And he had a Super Nintendo, but yeah, there's a new Nintendo console out. I was like, "Oh, cool." And this kid down like I live on a corner, so the kid down like the other street that my house was on, like 2 houses the other way, his dad got him one and he was like, "Oh, dude, I have these 3 games. Like, we got these 3 games for it. Like, you should come over and see." And this was one of those families, like, they had a tri level house, like I did in Bartlett in Memphis. And their bottom, the bottom level, all of their windows had like dark curtains on them. And they were like one of these families that had like one of those giant fucking TVs, like
Yeah.
the TVs that they sat on the ground because they had like, oh, it's like you know what they kind of reminded me of now? It's like an arcade cabinet, but like just a TV on the top half.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But
No, they weigh like, 1,000 pounds and
yeah,
stuff.
like you have to get like movers for them. But yeah, it was like one of those things where at the time that's what you'd call like a big screen TV. Like, oh yeah, homie has a big screen TV. Let's go try to play
Like
on that.
if you're like, if the TV's right here and you're watching from over here, you can only see about half of the picture.
Yeah, the show is
Like
like
you can't-
blur as fuck on the sides. Like you can't sit to the side and play this shit.
No.
So he's like, "Oh yeah, you should come over and play and check it out." I was like, "All right, cool." So we go over and he, flips the button and then the Mario 64 screen pops up. I'm like, "Holy shit." Like on this TV, it kind of looked like trash because those TVs look like trash, but I was like, "Oh my god, like this is the coolest thing ever." And
Even
then
just that intro screen where you can like pull his face around and stuff.
yeah.
I probably spent 100 hours doing that as a child. That's not
Yeah.
even playing the game. That's like the menu.
Yeah, it's just the menu, and you can do it on the Switch port, which is kind of cool. So go and check that out, kids. But the other 2 games were, or I guess he had 3 other games. I remember playing Cruising USA on that TV, which was wild. Like you're like, oh, what the fuck is this? And then Pilot Wings, which I didn't have Pilot Wing. I never got Pilot Wings until recently, like for the 64. And I'm like, I love that game. I don't know why. It's not good, but I like it. And fucking Shadows of the Empire, that Star Wars game. And I'm like, this is like at the time, I'm like, this is as good as a Star Wars movie. Like this is fucking awesome. But that game's hard as fuck, and the physics are jacked. So anyway, besides that, the next thing I remember being like a big deal was that my neighbors next to us got like a PlayStation that Christmas, and we got a 64. So I was fucking pumped, but like a few years later, whenever the PlayStation 2 came out, I know they got a PlayStation 2, and I don't remember. I don't even know if I was like aware that it was coming out, but they got it, right? And one of the first things I remember seeing on the PlayStation 2 was, or that I cared about, was seeing Grand Theft Auto 3. And I was like, holy shit, like what is this? And like, I'm not a huge Grand Theft Auto fan at all, but like seeing that at the time was like, dude, you can do anything in this game. Like, there's no limits. That's pretty awesome. I don't know. Did you have anything after 64 that you were like, holy shit, this is crazy?
Yeah, I think similarly, I remember seeing Grand Theft Auto 3 for the first time. I didn't get a PlayStation 2 until the Slim had come out. And so around that time, I think kind of motivator for me to get that at all was that San Andreas Grand Theft Auto had come out. And I remember, by that point, I guess probably in high school. And, then gaming websites and stuff did exist. So that was kind of like the first game I remember like being in the lead up to the release of that game, kind of like excited about.
Yeah.
And this thing is going to be crazy. Look at how big this map is, all these different cities. You can do all this different stuff. Yeah, which was pretty wild. And this is probably another thing where, people to just not, I don't think this is how this works. Maybe it is. I mean, I don't know how the online stores do it on the consoles, but I got that game at Best Buy or Walmart or whatever, and like there with my mom, and the dude was like, "You can't purchase this game. Like you're not old enough."
Oh yeah.
I remember like turning to my mom, going like, "Can you buy this or whatever?" And she was just like, "Okay, sure."
Yeah.
Did it? Like had no idea what it was. I would not have cared. I don't think. But I don't know. Maybe you had to be 18 or something to purchase that game. Like it's pretty wild. I was not at the time.
I think so.
That's kind of like the last, and then it's like after that, it's like I'll cruise around on the Switch store or whatever PlayStation, anything, and then just be like, yes, I'm gonna buy it. And
yeah.
It takes the mystique out of what it was when I was growing up.
Yeah, it's man, I remember that like people couldn't buy shit. I don't know if that's still.
I'm not sure with the online stores and stuff today.
I don't know.
You can go in there and set. I'm sure there's plenty of parental control settings on all of them where you can prevent kids from doing it or whatever. But
yeah, I know it
doesn't come across my radar at all. So,
no, I mean, why would it? But it's like, I don't know. The last time I went to a GameStop, I heard, which was like to return something that somebody had bought, or I got like a double of something that somebody like bought for me, and so I was returning it, and I heard them say to like to some other customer, people like, "Oh, there's like gore and sex and stuff in this," and they were like, "Yeah," and they were like, "Okay, cool, just letting you know." I was like, "All right, cool." The thing I was bringing back, by the way, was a double. I had 2 copies of Super Smash for 64, and I was bringing one back. And this, all right. So I don't think I've ever felt like old playing games until this happened. So I walk in to return this thing, and I hand the dude the cart. I'm like, "Hey, I gotta return this, like get money or whatever." And the dude behind the counter, who is like our age, goes, "Oh, is this what the original Super Smash looks like? I've never actually seen it." I was like, "What? Like, really? It's not that old." But then I was thinking, I was like, it's like 20 something years old. Like, fuck.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But
now they got the new Smash, and it's the Smash to end all Smashes.
Yeah, there shouldn't be.
People for fighting game tournaments and stuff still like the GameCube one, but
yeah, I don't really give a fuck about the GameCube, honestly. I know people like evangelize it, but I never had one, and the only time I ever played one as a kid, it's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a little different GameCube. So what have you been playing lately?
Oh, dude. So deep dive into Assassin's Creed Odyssey again. And we got those emails. I don't know if you got one, but got email from like Sony saying like your most played game of last year or whatever.
Yeah.
And games you played and blah blah blah. It was definitely that. And I thought I so I've had it for a few years now, um, digitally on the PS4, and I didn't realize how many hours it actually put into it. But it's
Yeah.
like when I saved it last, like a few days ago, or no, 2 days ago, yesterday. I don't know. It was like 130 something hours.
That's not so bad. I was expecting a bigger number than that.
Yeah, but I was like, I was tripping. I was like, wow, like that's it's a good chunk of time. Like,
Yeah, I don't like that annual report that comes out. Like,
no,
here's how many hours you spent on this.
yeah, but yeah, I'm playing a lot of that. I'm trying to play through the DLC of it. Like, I just got, I think I just got done with like the Legacy of the First Blade stuff, which is it's pretty cool.
Are you like at all close to getting a platinum trophy on that?
Oh, I accidentally platinum it the other day.
Oh,
Um, I thought there was a glitch in it. There's this one trophy to where you have to get all of the underwater chests throughout the game, and I looked it up. I've looked it up multiple times, but there's like 40 different spots where you have to pick up something, and a lot of them are like you can get during missions, I think, but or like whatever tasks shit you got to do. And apparently there's a glitch in that trophy. So I was like, I thought I couldn't get it. Like I thought the platinum was unattainable. And then I realized when I was like looking, I don't know what I was doing, but I was like looking at the map and I realized that I hadn't um gotten like uncovered this one little section, but it was like in a mountainous area, and on the mountainous areas of that game on the map they look kind of like gray anyway. So I was like, oh, and never noticed it in this like 100 hours that I've been playing this game. And so I uncovered that, and then that pops one trophy, and I was like, oh shit. Realized that I looked at this online guide and never noticed the one underwater thing that's actually inside like a continent part. And so I went and I got that, and it popped, and I was like, holy shit. Like, okay. Like, cool. So, but I think like the total trophy list is like, you only have to get like 60% or something, or 50% to platinum it. Like the rest is
oh
like,
really?
yeah. The rest is all the other trophies are like add-on content and like all this other bullshit. But I don't know. It's weird because I got this thing called Backbone. Which I think we talked about it a little bit, but it's this. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And you just slide your phone in there and then hit this button, and then you can play your Xbox or your PlayStation wherever the fuck you are. So, but with it came with 3 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and so I've been playing a lot of the new Halo, and I played a few minutes of Psychonauts 2. I want to try to get like my time out of that 3 month like window, pass thing. So I plan on like finishing Halo. I think I'm like 70% done with it. So, but I'm having fun with it too. I haven't played a Halo since the first one. So
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
but I'm having fun with it, and Game Pass is the shit. So
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
yeah, go and get Game Pass, especially now. I mean, we're gonna talk about it in a minute, but dude, like Xbox is just gobbling up motherfuckers. Like it's the megalodon of gaming industry. But I don't know, man. It's besides that, um, yeah, I'm dabbling in some Switch stuff, and I stay turning on the 64 every now and then and shit. I'm like playing stuff across all of the things I have hooked up pretty regularly. Like I'll just like turn on something random, but I don't know. Like the other day I played this will probably piss some people off that like the GameCube, but I found a bunch of GameCube games at this like thrift store. A bunch of them like Wave Race, Blue Storm, Deadly Premonition, which is like a game that costs like $90 in a box. I've got it for like $2.50. $2.50, not $250, but you know, like Monkey Ball, some other random shit.
Sure.
And I have a Wii hooked up, so I was like, oh, I can play these on the Wii. I'll just get a GameCube controller and plug it into the top and like check these out. And yeah, tried those out. Whatever. Like, I kind of wish they would make a new Wave Race for like just in general. Like, I don't know why, but
maybe.
I mean, not like I wouldn't buy it. Maybe just they make one. It was just so good. That was another 64 game. I was like, holy shit, this is incredible.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What about you? What have you been messing around with?
Well, you know, I'd like to be timely, so I've started playing Animal Crossing's New Horizons, you know.
Oh God.
A full year or two or whatever after it came out.
Yeah. The savior of the pandemic.
Right. I like to spend out my pandemic.
You're like, oh, this is great. I'll let it
steep. And you know what? Actually, this is probably the best time to begin this because like the community, like when it first came out, you know, I'm sure it was very cool to be playing it and talking to all the people, you know, all your friends and stuff who were also playing it. And if you're like into online communities for games and stuff, that would have probably been a pretty entertaining time to do it. I have no experience with previous Animal games whatsoever, so I don't really know how it stacks up against. But like the nice thing about now, there's people have data mined this thing to death, so like you can find tools for anything, right? So like I don't know how familiar you are with the game, but like you get your predatory from the guy who runs your island, you know, Tom Nook or whatever. My understanding is that's the same for every game. And then, you know, you just slowly pay stuff off. And then the game is just like kind of your own fun, right? There's like aspects of it where it changes month to month. So there's like a museum on your island and you can catch fish and they only come at certain times of the year or whatever. So like, I know a lot of people time travel. I plan on doing that. I'll probably just kind of like periodically check back in and try to chip away at the stuff. Like right now, it's like if you want to know when to get fish or where to get fish or when you should turnips to turn around and sell turnips working in the game. I mean, there's like tools, you know, like how can I get all the flowers? How can I do all this? Like built online tools that you can now go and it just kind of like do exactly what you need to do. So it's even more mindless now probably than it was, you know, a year ago or a year and a half ago. But it's okay, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
I got like addicted to Stardew Valley when I was living by myself years ago, like maybe 5 years ago. And I think like ultimately it's probably not as good as that, but it's one of those games, you know, it's fun. You check off the list. If you enjoy like moving furniture around and making a house that looks cool, then, you know, I think there's a lot there for you. And they do offer like a pretty robust, like, you know, online marketplace, I guess. It's all free. It's like where people upload designs or whatever. So like, I mean, I have yet to search for something and not find an Animal Crossing version of it.
Jeez.
So like, I mean, yeah, it's cool. Like people just make all kinds of stuff and then you can go look at other people's islands and it's pretty fun. But like, there's just some stuff. I mean, like you were saying, they had an Animal Crossing game for 64. I mean, I remember ones for GameCube and Wii and stuff. And like, it just seems it's mind blowing the like quality of life things in the game that you would think they would have after making 100 of the games or whatever. It's just like, they just don't have them. Like you pick up, you can catch like butterflies or something. Like for example, like they're doing the seasonal stuff right now. And so my island is in the northern hemisphere. It's wintertime, and so it'll have like snowflakes, right? And you got to catch snowflakes with your net if you want to build snowflake specific furniture and stuff. So every time you catch one of these snowflakes, you get the same message that pops up. And you're like, I've probably 100 of them. So I've read that same message 500 times, you know, and every time you catch a same message pops up. Every time you want to sell something, you got to click through all these things. It's just like, come on, man, killing me here.
Yeah.
Whatever it would have cost to hire a high school kid or something to just write like bad lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
They should have done that, because after reading the same dialogue over and over again, like, I'll take anything else.
Maybe that's how they do it. They're doing these new versions. Like they just wear you down to where you're just like, oh, whatever.
Like, I do not care. So
yeah.
And so like that, it's like to the detriment of the game too, because I'm just hitting the controller like
yeah,
as fast as I can, and then like every once in a while something will change and I've missed it entirely. You know what I mean? I'll be like, oh, I don't know what this person was trying to communicate to me, because they dole out new features very slowly.
Yeah.
And then like somebody will just tell you about it mid conversation, but it's like, oh, I've missed it because I was trying to avoid having the same conversation with you that I've times already. So that's kind of what we've been up to. I also got I like, especially on Switch, especially now, at this point in my playing life, I guess, like I always like to find like just fun, quick, dumb, simple games like Overcooked, or, you know, it's like it's 2 buttons, 15 minutes to play, like that kind of stuff. And so have you played Windjammers 2?
So there's a game on that it came out, I forget when it came. I know it was free for PlayStation 4 that is exactly like Windjammers, but I've never played the Windjammers.
So I just got Windjammers 2 on Switch, under the impression, just from looking at videos of it and stuff in the little marketplace, like this looks like a game that should be easy. And to a certain extent, I suppose it is, right? It's kind of like Pong. You like throw a frisbee back and forth and you try to get it past the other person in the goal.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like in like kind of games like that, where it'll be like the control screen and it'll be like, you know, and it'll kind of dole it out one move at a time. It'll be like, you move around with the left stick, and then you do this. It's like I was clicking through that and it just like would not end. There's like 1,000 different things you can do in there. And so then I started to play it and I was like, this is seemingly a little more like competitive than I would have liked. Like I was just looking for something a little more mindless.
Yeah.
But it looks like it kind of has a little more pizzazz to it. So for the online community, they can really, but I'm sure seeing 2 people play it that are really good game would be entertaining. But like me playing with my wife, you know, it's just kind of like we're pretty bad at it, but it you know, it has its fun. There's some
I enjoy shit like that. So the game I'm thinking about is called Disc Jam, and it's basically Windjammers, but you should look it up. It's a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah. So
me and Drew got pretty hooked on it for a while.
I think Windjammers 2 has got some. There's some mileage to be had there. You know, it's just it's not maybe quite as intuitive when you first pick it up.
Yeah,
I would have thought or would have hoped.
That makes sense. Anything else?
You know what else we tried? So like we got this another Switch game. That's like kind of all I've been playing. Like, I haven't played my PlayStation in a while. We got another one called, I think it's called Wingspan. It's like a board game. It's a very popular board game, I suppose. So we got it, and it looks like a board game. I mean, like I tried a couple of years ago to play like an actual physical board game version of Gloomhaven. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I've heard of it, but I'm looking at the thing you're looking at now, or this game now.
So like Gloomhaven, I think, is another game where they've turned it in. There's video game versions of it. I think I'm almost positive it's on PlayStation, but like playing the board game version of it, I hated it. It was like there's 5 million tiles and pieces, cards, and it's just like after a while I was like, man, this sucks. Like I don't want to play Gloomhaven in real life, you know. Like I haven't tried the video game version, but the idea of it, I guess, is kind of nice, right? It's like I don't have to do any of the scorekeeping or follow any of the rules. The game is going to do all for me, and so it'll kind of take a lot of the like tedium out of it. So I don't know. I've never played this Wingspan game in real life. With the
Yeah.
video game version of it, it's kind of nice, I guess, because it'll do all that kind of stuff. I don't really know what the different games are. I just played for the first time yesterday, but like if you're really into board games, it seems fun. If you're really into birds, it seems also good. I mean, that's like only partly sarcastic. Like it's got some cool looking bird art, and I think like it's got all like the calls. It's like whenever you play bird, it gives you facts about birds. So no.
You're not making a good case for this for me.
It is a funky no, for sure. I've only played one round, so like I'm not really sure that I'm qualified to say that I could win any Wingspan matches or whatever. But I did beat the tutorial. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think we should just to close this thing out, we should do our like 2-second reaction of two different things. First one is Xbox buying Blizzard Activision. What do you think?
I loved Diablo 3, and I don't have an Xbox. The last Xbox I owned was 360, but so I have a launch PS4 and a Switch.
Me too. Yeah.
Like that's what I'm working on. So eventually, I'm going to be making a purchase to get into this newest generation of consoles. And I gotta say, like all the stuff that Microsoft is doing, and I think like trying to specifically separate those brands. I'm not really sure why, but everything that Microsoft and Xbox are doing it makes it a difficult case not to choose them. I think that's very, very cool. That's a huge gap for them. And then if they're going to make it so those games are exclusive to their consoles, I think it's going to.
Yeah. I think so. There's been like a whole bunch of internal, like nasty shit happening at Activision Blizzard. So I'm glad that those employees are going to have like a better support system with Xbox and Phil Spencer, because Phil Spencer seems like the fucking man. Like he's the dude. So I'm glad that that's going to happen for them. But yeah, I mean, I hope they bring back like weird shit. Like I hope, like you're just talking about board games. I hope they bring back like point and click shit, like the original like Warcraft for Switch or something, or I don't know. I think that would be fun. But like with them owning all those licenses and shit. And the thing I keep hearing about people say about this is like, oh, they'll probably put some kind of version of World of Warcraft or StarCraft or all that stuff like on consoles or phones or whatever to try to like build it out.
Right.
Because Xbox is just in the Game Pass business now. They don't give a fuck about anything else. So the more people they can get on that subscription service, that's where they're going. They're going like most of the you were talking about. You don't have an Xbox. Like the funny thing about that is a lot of the stuff for like Game Pass you can play through the cloud. So if you had like a Backbone, you can just play it on your phone, which is crazy, But I think my initial opinion about it is like, yeah, it's fucking awesome. Like, good for them. I hope like I'm not really like a big Blizzard fan, but like I hope that Blizzard, like I feel like it was like huge like a decade ago,
Yeah.
Like you couldn't talk about video games without talking about like some Blizzard bullshit. Like people like literally losing their jobs and stuff from playing World of Warcraft and whatnot. Like I kind of hope that they go back to that. Like I want people to start losing their jobs for that. So yeah, that's my opinion with that. But you make a good point, man. Like with Game Pass, and we'll see what apparently PlayStation's building something, or Sony's building something that's supposed to like be their I don't know. What is it called? Like their version of Game Pass. This thing called Project Spartacus. We'll see how that works out. But
I don't even know about it.
Yeah, so we'll see how that works out. But I don't think they got any. There's nowhere to compete. Like honestly, I mean, their first party games are like the shit. But
Sure.
I don't know, man. You got, Xbox has got some hitters now.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, they fucking bought. They have Doom. Like Doom is their game now. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. And those most Doom games are fun.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, as long as we like Xbox and Nintendo keep playing nice, like we just got Banjo Kazooie on the Switch expansion pack subscription thing. That's fucking cool because they're owned by Rare. So I don't know. That's pretty cool with that. I think, but all in all, I think it's gonna good competition. Let's keep doing it. Maybe get Sony out of that sweet spot and they actually start trying again, like do cool shit.
Right.
And you just told me before we started recording that you don't know shit about this, but PlayStation VR 2. I kind of wanted a VR, like the PlayStation VR. I only played it one time. I played it. Had to be whenever it came out. They like did this tour where they were going to Best Buys and you could like sign up for a time slot and then
I remember this. Yeah.
play VR. And I was like, oh, cool. VR was still pretty newish, like on the console world. And I was like, I'm going to go play this and I'm going to see what it's about. So I did it. I found like a Best Buy near me in Pasadena and signed up for a time and like went and played it. And like immediately after, I called Drew and I was like, yo, this shit is crazy. Like,
yeah,
crazy. And PlayStation VR 1, the first one, is not that good. But at the time, like the first time you play that, I think the thing I played was like Tetris Effect or something. And I was like, this is fucking nuts. Like, I want this. This is so cool. So I'm very excited to see what it is. I don't think they've ever actually revealed it yet.
Too, you got to keep in mind with VR stuff, it's like, your other option is you need to have, it's pretty cost prohibitive, right? If you don't, like PlayStation is kind of a more affordable way to get into the whole VR scene, I guess, right? Because that you would need to really truly run the other VR options. I mean, I don't have that computer, and like getting those types of components to construct one of the computers now or whatever can be very difficult. So,
yeah.
I mean, I do think that, VR could be a thing for Sony if they could, how like Nintendo kind of hangs its hat or has the reputation of being a little kind of different from the other guys, right? I mean, this could be a way for Sony to kind of have something that kind of separates them too in a little bit of a unique way.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that's like, I think that the real competitor is like the Quest 2, like the Oculus Quest 2, because that shit there's no cords, and it's just like if you want to, they have like an online store, like stuff like that. I've played that one time, and it's incredible. Like,
yeah, I've played the original Quest.
Me too. That's the one I played. I didn't play the Quest 2 yet, but like playing with no cords, just sitting down is like, it's crazy, Watching Netflix in those things,
I've never,
dude, it's so cool. It's so cool. But it like puts you in a theater, which is it's incredible. So I agree. If they can like kind of come at it like that, I think that'll be their their thing that they have different from everybody else. Now, if Nintendo comes out with this like supposed Switch 2 or revision or whatever the fuck eventually, and it's like a 4K beast like the Steam Deck, but with Nintendo stuff on it, then I mean, the Switch is already the best selling thing in a long time. Like, if they came out with something like that, I don't know, man. Crazy shit. I don't know. You got anything else to drop bombs on this?
No, man. I think that's pretty much taps my knowledge of current video games at the moment.
All right. Well, if you like this, and thanks for sticking around. But like this, go and check out all the other Quick Sixer stuff. All of our shows. Subscribe. Hit the likes and whatever you got to do. But it's been you boys. Pat and Connor. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.